Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting number 468 and ask Michelle, do we have a quorum?
We do, but it's meeting number 469.
Good work, Michelle.
We have a quorum right now, though. Okay. If anybody falls asleep, make a note of it.
For the record, the chairman's agenda copy does read 468.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what it reads.
I'm sorry.
Well, on the screen it's 469. I just wanted to let everybody know that he was right. What wrong?
Yeah. What difference
says
does it make? They don't
469
care what
here.
number it is. Okay, we
Say
all
468.
have in our possession
468.
the meeting minutes from September 2017. Does anybody have any additions, corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved to approve and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, carried. Fiscal actions report, same thing. You all have a copy of it.
Motion.
Yeah.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Project review action report.
Resolution 2017-59. Whereas the Commission has received and reviewed the Project Review Actions Report prepared by the staff and dated October 11, 2017. Whereas the Project Review Committee recommends acceptance of the Project Review Actions Report. Now therefore be resolved that the Commission directs the Project Review Actions Report be incorporated in the minutes of the full Commission meeting. So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the action report of the Project Review Committee. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. First project on the agenda this morning is a tour boat application by Lake George Island Boat Tours. You want to introduce that, Joe?
So the applicant is Don Daly of Lake George Island Boat Tours. He's applied for a special permit for operation of a tour boat and requested variance from the board for the ability to operate at large and not operate from a Class A marina. Mr. Daly is here to represent the application. I'd like you to approach the microphone and introduce yourself and describe the property.
Okay, yeah, you got to go over there. And just for the record, state your name and that goes in the tape, that's all.
My name is, is it on?
Yes, it is.
My name is Don Daly. I'm the owner of Lake George Island Boat Tours. I want to thank you for giving me a couple minutes to share with you why I'm requesting a variance. A little background, in business school they teach you that the first rule of owning a business is to make a profit. And there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can obviously increase your income or you can cut your expenses. When I started the business 2 years ago, I did my due diligence and I found that there was a need for private boat tour charters. And there were a need for small families or friends who didn't want to, no offense to the Lake George Steamboat Company, they didn't want to take the big boats. They wanted to go out and they wanted to experience the lake. They didn't want to just look at it. They wanted to get out and swim. They wanted to go tubing. They wanted to go cliff jumping. They wanted to customize their own tours. I knew that due to the fact that I had grown up on Lake George, my uncle still owns a house over in Catskill Bay. He has for 50 years. I have since purchased a home on Rockhurst Road in Cleverdale, and I'll be in my 15th year on the lake. I've owned a boat. It's paid for. I have a boathouse, a berth. You know, that's free. Other than the thousands of dollars I pay in taxes, it's free. So I knew that I could put together a plan where I could customize tours for people. And I also knew that in my previous 40 years before I retired, I owned 3 successful businesses, all of which I was involved in marketing and advertising. So I knew that I could reduce my expenses by having a boat that was already paid for, having a berth at my own house, and knowing how to market and advertise. But I needed one other thing. I needed a way to be different than the other charters. So I thought if I could set up a program where I actually picked people up at the spot they wanted to be picked up at their own motel or their own hotel, or many people rent houses on the lake and don't have boats, that I could be unique. Well, to make a long story short, it worked. I completed my second year of operation this year. We were very successful. We doubled our business from the previous year. I turned my smaller 21-foot chaparral in, and at the end of August, I purchased a 24.5-foot open bow chaparral. And I also hired my cousin, who was retired, and he has a 25-foot cobalt. And we finished the year very successfully. So I asked for this variance because it's important to me to continue to work out of my house. I don't pick people up at the house at all. I know that the opportunity to pick people up where they'd like to be picked up is very important. I grew my business to the point where I have quite a few very successful TripAdvisor ratings. All of them, I have many of them, and they're all 5-star. I'd like to conclude by just reading a short one. This was from a Nick H. in June of this past year. Awesome tour. Don is very nice, personable, and knowledgeable tour guide. He's willing to cater the trip around your desires, whether it's hiking, swimming, cliff jumping, or just a scenic trip around the lake. He picked us up where we were staying and dropped us off there as well. No extra charge. He was very knowledgeable about the area. So whether you're a couple or a family with young kids, this is the boat tour service for you. So in conclusion, I would appreciate your vote to pass the variance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, do you have questions of the applicant at this time?
You do any tubing or water skiing?
No water skiing, tubing.
And I saw that, want to make sure you're not in the South Basin.
No, I absolutely try to avoid the South Basin. I designated some spots.
Right, I saw that, yep.
I prefer the area just north of where I am, Warner Bay, or Northwest Bay, or north of Glen Island.
Right.
That's my spot. When I pick people up in the South Bay, I try to get out of there quick.
Your application states that, and you didn't mention it this time, you admitted it, that you were going to use the municipal docks also. Want to explain that a little further?
Yeah. Yesterday, Dave gave me a call. I had previously met and turned in my report from Mayor Place.
Right.
That in the past, I picked people up at the Lake George Municipal Docks. My pickup procedure is pretty easy. 15 minutes before the people are scheduled to be picked up, I text them or call them. I ask them, if they're there, if they're ready or whatever, and so I would pull up to the dock, pick them up, and leave. I was told yesterday that there was a lawsuit back in the 1970s. I spoke to the mayor for about 20 minutes yesterday. He likes what I do. I was going to get the $200 permit to be able to pull up to the dock and not just pay the hourly fees, but I'm there for less than 10 minutes to pick people up, but I was still going to buy the permit. He asked for a couple more days. He spoke to the Lake George Village attorney, I believe this was the board, and they're looking into it to see whether or not Mr. Dow of Lake George Steamship Company, who was, I guess, put in a complaint that I'm allowed to pick people up there, whether or not it's possible to do it. If I can't do it, I can't do it. I mean, that wasn't where I picked up most of my people. Many of the people are either in motels along the way or that they don't have boats. So if I can't do it as of now, I can't, but I'm going to speak to the mayor again. He asked me to call him next Wednesday.
Okay, then my question is, should the mayor say that, no, it's not going to work, are you agreeable to have an amendment or so forth to your application excluding the village docks?
Yes, I asked Dave to go ahead and just take it out of the village jobs. Asked him.
Okay. Then my second question, I'm sorry to belabor this, but I want to make sure that every base is covered. You mentioned that the second boat is going to be at the Bay Yacht Marina.
It's at Harris, it's
Har-
at,
Harris Bay, yeah.
Rick owns a dock space
There.
at Harris Bay. We do not pick people up at Harris Bay.
Oh, you don't pick people up?
No.
Okay, because I wasn't sure on
He
that.
made that clear today.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if
No.
you're going to pick them up there, then I wanted to make sure that you
No,
also had
no,
permission.
we're not picking them up.
Okay, you're just picking them up at hotels or their own house?
Yes, their own rental houses. There's a lot of people that rent houses that don't have boats and pick them up at their hotels. I have made arrangements. I talked to the security at Sagamore this past year. I picked people up there. I pick them up and drop them off. But mostly it's the motels and their houses, and I'll have to make do. But I was encouraged in speaking with the mayor, and he wanted me to get back to him, and you know, he believes there could be a way, because in the previous lawsuit, it was the fact that they were leasing dock space, you know, to a charter company or a tour company. I'm not looking to lease any
Right.
dock space. I just pull in there like anybody else. And the mayor sees it as a plus because it brings people, you know,
Sure.
to the town.
Sure,
to the village.
I have no, but I think it's a good idea too. I think that's an excellent tour. I just wanted to make sure that you don't have
No,
a problem legally.
I don't have a problem.
Okay.
Yes.
You've been doing this for 2 years. Have you encountered any docks that you've had to pull up? Like you said, you could go to so many different places on the lake to pick up people during the course of a season. Well, my concern is some of these docks, are they free of congestion? Do they have a lot of extra swimmers around? Do they have a lot of, I'm concerned about a safety issue, or as far as going to a different dock maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times a week to pick these people up, and you're not exactly sure what you're going to encounter when you get there. Because I know that some of these areas are very congested, and they're next door to motels or other places where people are, swimming and using their paddle boards and so forth.
Good question. I haven't had a problem in the fact that I ask each person to make sure that they check with their motel, hotel, or whatever, that there is a place for me to actually pick them up, first of all. And second of all, many times when you're going during the week, it's not as congested. And I'm not doing any more than, the maximum is 3 tours in a day. However, we did not average that. We would average 1 or 2 tours a day. And I started this as a part-time business. The reason I hired my cousin as a second is because it got too busy. I didn't want to work all the time. I retired. But there was a need for this, and I found that I'm very safety conscious about this. I'm very considerate of the lake, all right, and what's involved and what the commission does and stuff with the lake. So we've not had any problems with running into congestion or pickups or anything. I've not run into any of that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Couple of questions. If the village docks aren't available to you under the $200 permit, are you still allowed to come in and throw your $3 or $5 for the hour and pick me up and go away?
That's what I'm waiting for the mayor to tell me. So I can't answer that right now.
And do you have a plan B if the mayor's answer is sorry, but our attorney won't let us do it?
I won't pick people up at the public docks in Lake George.
And question 2, I assume that both of you, the boat operators, have to have a PV license?
Oh, yes, that's all. done with the state, yes.
Out of Harris Bay, isn't
And the boats are obviously PV
They're
inspected.
all registered, inspected, all that is done, absolutely.
This is legal, but it's a variance. That's what it says.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Is there anyone else here in the audience that'd like to speak on this project? In that case, we are about to determine yes or no. Before we do, I would like to just answer one question, and it's kind of one that the staff put us in, and we put ourselves in this position. This is a variance which requires a financial hardship if it's not granted. In my own opinion, the guy can't go in business if he doesn't get the variance. So I would almost say that in all of these cases, we automatically agree that there is a financial hardship, just as we are. It's just a matter of bookkeeping, but we can't grant a variance without a financial hardship. And I think being able to do a business or not is it. Everybody agreeable on that? Joe, you ready?
Resolution 2017-61, application number 5220-41-17 SPT. Applicant is Don Daly, Lake George Island Boat Tours. Whereas the applicant has applied for a permit for tour boat operations, and the Lake George Park Commission has reviewed the application, supporting documents, comments received, and other information which appears in the record. And whereas the commission has made a determination that the project is an unlisted action pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act 6 NY CRR 617.5, and as a lead agency for the purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has made a determination that the project will have no significant impact on the environment. And whereas the action is considered to be a major project pursuant to 6 NY CRR 645-5.3, public notice has been published and distributed as required. Whereas the applicant has demonstrated that the facility complies with the tour boat requirements of 646-1.4D, and whereas the applicant has requested variance from 6 NY CRR 646-1.4D, 2, and B, tour boats shall be operated from properly permitted marina facilities, and the applicant has demonstrated that strict conformance with the regulations would cause unnecessary hardship due to unique and peculiar circumstances which impose substantial financial, technical, and safety burdens. Whereas the Commission finds that there is no reasonable possibility that the applicant's business will bring a reasonable return following conformance with the regulation. And whereas the Commission finds the project will have no adverse impact on the health, safety, welfare of the public, the environment, or the resources of the park, and will not alter the essential characters of the area in which is proposed, will not lead to congestion in the park. Now therefore be resolved, the Lake George Park Commission hereby resolves to approve the above application, provided no substantial adverse comments are received prior to the close of the public comment period, as proposed. So moved.
There, second, right?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion on the application?
Bruce, could we talk a little bit about the Class A Marina thing?
Sorry?
Class A Marina, we're really, that's what we have as,
Yes,
we're
it
getting a
is.
variance from here, but how is this going to affect us when we talk about other situations where they're not in the Class A Marina? I think of one right now in litigation. If we say this is okay because the applicant is already at a marina, you could certainly talk to Harris Bay. For me, the issue is the variance from the marina requirement.
I should put our brand-new attorney on the spot and let her answer that question.
You should, but I said not do that.
My own opinion is, I thought we covered that when we passed a law saying that this is, I don't even know if we specified that they had to have a Class E, Class A. I just said they had to have
Marina,
an association
yeah.
with a marina.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
see that here. The boat, one of the boats is at Harris Bay, but that's not an official association, as I understand it. It's just a lease slip.
Harris Bay is a Class A marina.
Right, I understand that.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your concern.
But I guess,
Yes, but I didn't see that there was any agreement between Harris Bay and the operator here and
Yeah.
how they were going to operate a Class A.
I think Dean has a
tour boat.
point that
Harris Bay doesn't consider them a tourboat operation that they're sponsoring or under their aegis or any of that kind of stuff. They're just there as another boat. Okay, so I don't see how that fills the requirement to be affiliated with a Class A marina or a marina at all. Yeah, I understand that, but, you know, my question for our legal is, we have other cases where we had that same problem, and, you know, if this variance is given, does that put us at a disadvantage in other cases, some of which are in litigation?
I don't believe it does, because in this case, it's very fact-specific with Mr. Daly's operation and the financial hardship and where he has to pick them up. This is different than the case you're thinking of,
Right.
Where that none of these actually go into that opinion. So I don't see the commission granting this, I don't see this to be a precedent or anything that would put the commission at any adverse disadvantage.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel that if somebody brings this up as a precedent setting, that they're trying to, it's a lawyer scheme to avoid the regulations of some sort. I understand your point, and I'm wondering what if somebody wants to operate a charter boat and doesn't need a marina? In other words, if he didn't have the second boat, he's just going to go pick them up from his own house, and I'm wondering if our resolution may be short, that our previous resolution may be short in the fact that it doesn't cover that situation, does it? It does.
Yep, so what we decided was that the existing charter boats, they need to come in front of the commission for a variance if they haven't been operating before because they want to operate out of residence. That's something our standards call for. You need to operate out of a Class A marina for charter boat operations. So what our big charter boat meeting was about was to set those standards and say, yes, certain operations are going to come in front of the commission. All variances need to come in front of the commission. And from at least, knowledge, at least from, I think, staff standpoint, there can be benefits from an operation not working out of marina full time. If we're concentrating all charters out of marina operations, there's a challenge. I think we were talking with Kathy the other day about, say, Middleworth Bay. There's a charter that's going to be operating out of Middleworth Bay. It's a great congested bay. If the commission is forcing all charters to operate out of the most congested areas in the lake, wouldn't that be more of a detriment than having something like the application that's in front of us to simply operate out of the zone of worth location and pick up at a very diverse array of locations? So I think that the process that we set forth at the commission meets all the tests legally. I think it's confirmed that in the past. And the path that we have, the applicants that are coming in front of you are simply the ones that cannot be managed at the staff level because they require variance. And it seems to be from my understanding, necessity for your approval or denial of the application with no legal ramifications.
Yeah, Dean, I think that what it boils down to is whenever we grant a variance, the commission is not, we're just making an objective decision based on what the facts, what's best for the lake. And we are granted under Article 43 a great deal of latitude in how we interpret. And I stated over and over that no particular case is a precedent because as far as I'm concerned, they're all different. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Next application is from the Twin Birch Cottages, Town of Lake George.
Twin Birches was previously approved last year for Class A marina to operate PWC rentals, so 9 PWC rentals up to 3 vessels. There was substantive public comment received in review of that. And the town, as well as the commission, granted a 1-year probationary period approval of that operation of the work. And so today, Devotion, Tom Jones, representing Twin Birches, is here to make an application to renew that permit. He's operated through 2017 season, and so he's here for his renewal. And here's worth noting, in contrast to the last application, we received only 1 public comment. And it didn't really speak to the actual operation that's being presented. And also, here at the River Control, I don't believe we received any complaints about this operation. With that, I'll turn it over to Tom.
Good morning, Tom Jones, owner of Ocean Water Sports, operating out of Twin Bridges Marina. So to recap a little bit about the 2017 season, thank you again for the previous approval to operate this summer. Basically, we helped spread some knowledge of the lake, boating safety. I was able to assist with 3 stranded boaters while I'm out on tour. We were able to donate back to the lake a little bit and pick up, some pieces of trash along the way. Some things that have changed a little bit since February. I'm a New York State boating safety instructor now, so I intend on holding classes in the spring and fall for the local, either kids or adults or whoever don't have, the proper certificates for it. Mostly, everyone's turned in to operating these PWCs, and they are wearing that they need a license, especially if they're on the tour. It's good to spread that a little bit. I'm also a wilderness CPR, first aid certified, certificate holder as well. I'm looking to get into the first aid training programs and stuff like that as well. So, all in all, we got approved the planning board recently for a 5-year extension on the project, and looking to do the same out of the park commission today.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Nope.
Staff? I'm sorry?
I was going to ask,
Did you have a question?
well, process question. Last year's approval was for a year. Is this an application for a normal marina operation permit?
It was a 1-year test period, but a 5-year permit. In other words, you could turn
Okay.
it down at this point, as far as I understand. You can turn it down.
So this is, the first year was a probationary, so he's got 4 years to go
Yes.
on the existing
Yes.
marina permit. Okay.
Any further questions? I was going to ask staff. Now, I almost forgot what I was going to ask staff, because that was 5 minutes ago when you had to talk. Do you have any incidences or any problem? And the other one is congestion in the area or anything whatsoever. Have you heard or?
We haven't seen or heard any complaints. Again, I urge that to Lieutenant Johns, they're on the water all the time. And Marine Patrol didn't receive any complaints either. So generally people are very shy when they see something they don't like. So I get the silence speaks volumes about how well the operation runs last year.
If we recall some of the history, Mr. Jones was very diligent in looking for operation areas that we could work out of that weren't going to have to impact anybody, not that they was going to contribute to others. And this seems to have worked out very well, because it's kind of on the main lake, so I think he's been very diligent in his application process and doing everything to make the operation.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience want to speak on this? Back to you, Joe.
Resolution 2017-60. Applicant number is 5222-33-17M1. Applicant is Twin Birches Cottages LLC. Whereas the requested activity is currently authorized marina permit 5222-11-16. Whereas special condition number 33 of permit 5222-11-16 states that this permit was issued on a probationary period for the year of 2017 boating season. And the initial permit renewal beyond 2017 will require review and approval by the Commission Board. And whereas the applicant has applied to renew the Class A marina permit offering rental of 3 personal watercraft, and whereas the Lake George Park Commission has reviewed the application supporting documents, comments received, and other information which appears in the record, and whereas the Commission has made a determination that the project is a Type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act 6 NY CRR 617.5, and whereas the action is considered to be a minor project pursuant to 6 NY CRR 645-5.3, and whereas the applicant has demonstrated that the facility complies with the Class A marina requirements of 6 NY 646-1.2, and whereas the Commission finds the project will have no adverse impact on the health, safety, or welfare of the public and the environment or the resources of the park, will not alter the essential character of the area in which it is proposed, will not lead to congestion in the park, and will not have an undue visual, agricultural, audible impact on the neighborhood or the park. Now therefore be resolved, the Lake George Park Commission hereby resolves to approve the above application as proposed. So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the application. Any further comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next is another turboat application by Timothy Godos, Town of Bolton.
This is another application for special permit to operate a tour boat. This is for Bolton Tours. They propose to operate Treasure Cove in the town of Bolton, and they're represented by Tim Newcomb. I don't know if you see the audience. Peter, call. Perfect. Would mind, coaching mind, and giving them over the application.
Good morning, I'm Peter Goods, I'm a co-owner of my son, Timothy Goods, from Bolton Tours.
Commissioners, questions for the applicant?
You've been in existence for 2 years now?
Yeah, this is Peter's third son.
30 years, okay. And I guess we've had no complaints, right? Except where they're picking it up.
Before I let you go, I want to ask one question, because it does show your route is through 7A by Clay and Dome Island, which is over capacity at the moment, and I just want to ask Patrol if they see any problem based on your experience on the lake, and if they do, I want to give you a chance to answer.
My only concern would be if there were tubing or steam or something through that area. If it was passing through it, going to other areas that really get
Now, that leads me up to another question, since tubing and so forth is part of the package. Do you intend to do it in that area?
No, we don't have to, we can go outside, between
Yeah.
Bolton and East Shore.
I mean, it's a pretty open spot on the lake to try to tube anyway, or ski. Yeah, I could hardly get my boat through there because of the wakes in the summertime. Okay. I guess my question would be to staff, council, and the commissioners, should there be a provision in the permit which specifically excludes tubing and water skiing activity in that area?
So the documents have the area outlined where the tubing and skiing will take place, so it's not in that particular area, I believe, right, Joe?
They did amend,
Yeah.
to provide a specific area where the tubing will take place as opposed to the tours.
Yeah.
But it's still a recommendation of the lieutenant that any kind of recreational activity like that should be outside of areas that are too dense. That could be a condition on this and really a general condition for any tour.
Right.
In other words, it's already prohibited in where tubing is permitted. But
It is, but certainly worth a reminder.
okay. Okay. Thanks, sir. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much.
All your boats are PV inspected and your operators are PV licensed?
Yeah, that's stated in the application, but that, I don't mind you asking the question.
I just want it on the record. I got to say something.
Anyone else in the audience? Actually, if it's in the written record. It's in the-
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to point anything out.
I have a question.
Anyone else have any comments on this application?
No, I'm a little late. I
Okay.
just, Mr. Gudis, when you're operating out of Treasure Cove, and I know that can be very congested. I had a lengthy discussion with Dave and Joe Stanek the other day about that, and how concerned I've been in the past when I've kind of been in line to buy gas at right there at Beckley's, I think, and I've seen a lot of the congestion in there with the kayakers and the paddle boarders and so forth, and you're going right into that little bay way tucked in there. You don't do anything, I'm asking, do you do any of your, you're not going to be doing any of your water skiing or tubing from there? You're going to take the, right, right, so nothing is going, no, you just pick the people up there. Yeah, Have you found that in the past to be pretty busy in there?
Well, I used to own Treasure Boat.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I gotcha.
And I also was former owner of the Charter Christian Service.
Yeah.
So yes, we're very aware of that, and we very cautious and carefully going with our customers.
Yeah.
Make sure that we go way beyond that area before we start our activity.
Yeah. Well, I've just been, was that one afternoon just totally distraught over the children in those kayaks that, you know, my husband had to whistle to move. You know, it was a little scary. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Application 2017-62, application number 5220-42-17 SPT. Applicant is Tim Gutis, Bolton Boat Tours. Whereas the applicant has applied for a permit for a tour boat operation, the Lake George Park Commission has reviewed the application, supporting documents, comments received, and other information which appears in the record. And whereas the commission has made a determination that the project is an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act 6 NY CRR 617.5, and as lead agency for the purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has made a determination that the project will have no significant impact on the environment. And whereas the action is considered to be a major project pursuant to 6 NY CRR 645-5.3, and public notice has been published and distributed as required, the applicant has demonstrated that the facility complies with the tour boat requirements of 646-1.4D. And whereas the Commission finds the project will have no adverse impact on the health, safety, or welfare of the public, the environment, or the resources of the park, will not alter the essential characters of the area in which it is proposed, will not lead to congestion in the park, and will not have an undue visual, cultural, or audible impact on the neighborhood or the park. Now therefore be resolved, the Lake George Park Commission hereby resolves to approve the above application, provided no substantive adverse comments are received prior to the close of the public comment period. So moved as proposed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the application. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Law enforcement, Mr. Parker.
The law enforcement met at 9 a.m. this morning. We discussed things like one of our boats needing some warranty work, and the manufacturer's being very helpful with that. The fact that we're leaving one boat in until ice, just for emergencies. The last day for scheduled patrol will be November 1st, but we have 5 to 6 Marine patrol officers on call in the event that something happens. As an example, this past 2 weeks, we've had 2 nighttime calls, which we've had to shake out and get a boat in the water or get a boat away from the dock and go do whatever was necessary. There's no real issues, but people were lost. Then we discussed some enforcement actions in executive committee, but Resolution 2017-63 says, whereas the Law Enforcement Committee met October 24th, 2017, to review matters pertaining to the Lake George Park Commission's Marine Patrol and the Commission's law enforcement program, and whereas active law enforcement cases and their status were reviewed in executive session, and whereas the Law Enforcement Committee has reported on the results of that committee meeting at this full commission meeting, and whereas the Law Enforcement Committee recommends acceptance of this month's law enforcement report, now therefore be it resolved that the commission accepts the report of the Law Enforcement Committee, and I would make that a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the Law Enforcement Committee's report. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we're down to the period of public comments. John?
Who could that be?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is John Silva. I'm a resident and marina operator on Dunn Bay. The commission will recall my presentation at one of their last meetings relative to the lake water pollution documented as existing on Dunham Bay and believed to originate from on-site wastewater treatment systems. Since early August, the town of Queensbury local board of health and the board empowered to abate pollution within its jurisdiction if found to exist, has undertaken what might be considered a feeble attempt to establish procedures to identify the point source of such pollution without any success to date. In fact, a proposed procedural solution to pinpoint the source of the documented pollution has stalled in the halls of the town of Queensbury government, probably awaiting the outcome of the forthcoming election. In the meantime, we have learned of recent amendments to the state's public authorities law authorizing the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation to create a statewide septic system replacement fund from monies to be appropriated by the legislature and available to participating counties. Participating county means a county that notifies the State Environmental Facilities Corporation that it seeks authority to administer a septic system replacement program within its municipal boundaries and agrees to abide by the program's goals, guidelines, eligibility requirements, and reimbursement procedures, and provide information to property owners regarding program parameters, including eligibility criteria. I cannot speak for Essex and Washington County, but I doubt that the water quality of Dunham Bay will be enhanced by the participation of Warren County, because in its present organizational form, it is not equipped to administer the reimbursement to residential property owners and resident businesses independently owned and operated, employing not more than 100 individuals, with up to 50% of the eligible costs incurred for eligible septic system projects, providing no property owner shall be reimbursed more than $10,000. Basically, Section 1285-U of the Public Authorities Law requires a participating county to inform property owners who will be eligible to participate in the program, review applications and make determinations as to eligibility, and after the local authority determines the condition of the property owner's current septic system, and further be responsible for reviewing their property owner's applications, approving, modifying, and defining the reimbursement requests as appropriate, and issuing reimbursement payments to property owners from financial assistance payments made to the county from the fund. Here's a $10,000 per property bonanza that I don't think we in Warren County have any ability to tap. Somehow we have got to exacerbate the county to organize to take advantage of this program. Now, $10,000 goes a long way to putting in an up-to-standard septic system. Even an enhanced treatment system, it goes a long way. And I'm telling you, there's probably very little likelihood of any municipal sewage collection system and treatment to come about in the basin. Very, very unlikely. And maybe this is the solution to our problem. We have many, many substandard, failing septic systems, failing subsurface, don't have the ability to get at the problem. maybe a program like this would bring forth many applications. But somehow we have to get the counties to organize this. Warren County at one time had an interest in wastewater. It was a thinly organized interest, but at least they were present. And with the advent of the Park Commission bill in 1988, the county got out of it. It was left to the Park Commission to take care of wastewater. Because that has gone nowhere, we have this situation. And Dutton Bay is not the only problem area. Not the only problem area. But I would ask the commission to somehow initiate a contact with the county, try to convince them that somehow they have to organize, take advantage of this program. Remember, it's $10,000 per property, either residential or privately owned. Any questions?
Thank you, John. Good point. Got any more you want to say? No, I just going to say, are you done? I wasn't dismissing you. I was just saying thank you.
No, I just tried to, somehow we've got to start the ball rolling. The county's not going to do it on their own. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe we could devote John's dock fees to the project.
Any other comments?
I actually have a question.
Sure. Normally, we don't answer questions during public comments, but is it something you could ask staff, or do you need it from the whole commission?
I probably asked staff, yeah. It was just pertaining to the previous application prior to mine. So just had a question about the process of, like I said, ask the staff.
Yeah, why don't you let us know? Thank you, but I'm not shutting you off. I want you to get the right answer. Sometimes they have the better answer.
Are you looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I've looked on both ways twice.
Well, you have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Who made it?
I did.
Just now.
Right.
You're on my deaf side. Do we have a second?
I'm going to talk to your wife about
I
it.
have a second from John McDonald. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
There we go.